Hi guys, this is Paige. I want to make this video about how if you're of God, you're truly God's child, there will be people that come and say you are of Satan and say you're not saved and will speak all manner of wickedness against you. This is biblical. When Jesus Christ was on earth, the Pharisees said Jesus Christ wasn't of God. I don't like to say exactly what they said, but they accused him too. This is what Jesus Christ said. This is in Matthew 10:24. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? Beelzebub means Satan. What is he saying there? If they've said this to me, that I'm not of God, how much more will they say it to you? Because I live in you. It's going to happen. Happens to me today. Someone came to my channel. They were like, you're of the devil. I've had people heavily imply I'm not of God. People saying I'm crazy and nuts. And I am very grateful that God made the internet and that I can preach on the internet. Do you know if I did this in person, people would be stoning me? It's very safe for me to preach this way. I see why he did it. People would be trying to kill me. Their demons are so angry with what I say. Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. What I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not two sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. So he's saying they're going to do this, but don't fear them, fear me, and respect. And preach what I say. And then he says, you're of more value than many sparrows, and I know all the hairs on your head. He's encouraging them. This is going to happen. People think I'm evil. There's people, they think I'm evil and of the devil, when I'm anointed by God to do this. They call evil good and good evil. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. You know what it feels like? It feels like I'm Jesus Christ. Like I know I'm not him, but he lives in me. And I'm just surrounded by Pharisees. Or Pharisee spirits, however you want to say it, that come to me and accuse me and say I'm not of God. And also other demons that just, in people who are in wrong doctrine, that think actually that I'm a Pharisee for preaching God's true repentance, and that we must turn from sin. It's all different types of demons, but Pharisee demons. Like in the days where Jesus Christ, was on earth and they were coming and accusing him. But instead of it being like, well, the demons could still say this about like, oh, don't eat that, or why are you, it's more like, look what you're wearing, or they don't really say, look what I'm wearing, but you're wearing makeup and jewelry. Or God didn't speak to you through that. How dare you? You're crazy. That's what it feels like. I'd be like, man, I feel like I'm Jesus Christ and the Pharisees are after me. Isn't that interesting? This is like, it's so true and real. It's like we're experiencing what Jesus Christ experienced on earth. Literally. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. If you're of God, you'll be persecuted. People will say you're not of God. They'll think you're evil. They'll say you're of the devil. God's true people and true prophets will be persecuted. The demons and people will go crazy about you and want to destroy you. When actually, I'm doing good here. They think I'm evil, some people. That's biblical. You know, I wanted to just go into something else. Do you know God was showing me something about our hedge of protection? You know, all Christians have a hedge of protection around them. You know, when God was speaking to Satan about Job, and Satan was like, doth Job fear God for naught? Has not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. And then Satan was saying, you know, if you take that hedge of protection off, you know, he'll curse you and stuff. And then God allowed the testing on Job to glorify himself. But do you see what he said there? There's a hedge around Job. He sees it. Satan can see the hedge. It's spiritual. It's God's protection on each Christian. That's what he was saying to God. He's like, your protection's on him and you bless him. But if you took that off or partially took it off, he wouldn't love you anymore, you see? And it was about his house and everything he had. Every born-again Christian has this on them. It's a hedge of protection. I believe when I get the thorn, God takes it off a little bit. Or at certain times. But it's still on. But just he allows attacks, especially when I had the thorn. That's what I believe. But you know, God was telling me that this hedge about us is a hedge of fire. It's fire. This is in Zechariah. For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. He's talking about Jerusalem. But if you look up what Zion is, you know, it later talks about Zion. It's actually the Jewish people. All of God's people who are truly born again, we're Jews in heart. We're Jewish in heart. We've been engrafted into God's family, and Jesus Christ was Jewish, or is Jewish. So we are Zion spiritually. It's a place, but it's actually his people spiritually. You see what I'm saying? And he has a wall of fire around us. That's what God was showing me. He was showing me that I had a wall of fire around me. I was like, oh, that's cool. It makes sense too, because you know how I was talking about how that one Satanist had sent that demon to that woman and it came back very angry? It's probably the wall of fire burnt them. Then it says, Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heavens, saith the Lord. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. God actually was telling me about the wall of fire. I looked it up, and these verses were here, and this was after I was being persecuted and hurt by people. God was showing me, he's like, anyone who touches you touches the apple of my eye. He speaks through the Bible. I mean, God speaks through everything. Of course he speaks through the Bible. Most of all. But he speaks through everything too. And then later says, sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. That was God speaking to me through that. We have a wall of fire around us. Satan sees it. He could see Job's too. We also have angels about us. Now, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them. So we have the wall of fire and the angels around us. I believe the angels have firepower too, swords of fire. I'd need more confirmation on that, but that would make sense to me. Isn't that cool? And anyone who touches you, if you're God's child, touches the apple of his eye. Do you know what that means? That you're so loved by God, and people should be afraid to touch his eye, his most beloved. And he takes it personally. He has a lot of wrath about this stuff, you know? I mean, me being a Christian, even if I didn't agree with people, I wouldn't then go say horrible things to them. You know? I want to get into this other thing too about how rare you are. This is kind of like a edification video for persecution happening to God's people. Do you know what God was showing me? This is really cute. Do you know 3-leaf clovers? You know, the clover. It's called a shamrock. Jesus Christ is the rock, right? Do you know that they represent God? They're just a representation of him. You know how certain things represent him and symbolically? They have it's a 3-leaf clover. 3, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Because God is 3. Jesus Christ is the fullness of the Godhead bodily. They're 3 in one God. You know what he was showing me? Well, they symbolize love, hope, and faith, the 3 leaves. But the 4th one, if you found a 4-leaf clover, it means luck, which means, you know, blessings. Or, you know what he was telling me? He's like, Paige, you're my lucky 4-leaf clover. And when he says lucky, he just means like I serve him and I'm prosperous and my lucky 4-leaf clover. He showed me that and then he confirmed it. Very sweet. Do you know how rare it is to find a 4-leaf clover? 4-leaf clovers are 1 in 10,000. But with God, they're probably even more. You know, if you're God's child, you're like a lucky 4-leaf clover. You know why 4? Well, God, if he's the 3, the fourth leaf would be you. Do you get it? It's very rare to find them. Really cute. You know, St. Patrick. Now, St. Patrick was Catholic. I'm not going to say I support Catholicism, okay? But I believe this man was of God. I mean, he was born in 385. You guys have to understand, too, God sees the heart. There could be some Catholic people who are born again, but God's trying to lead them out. And especially in the past, people could just be deceived about things, but still be of God, and God knows the heart. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I support Catholicism. But do you know St. Patrick? I mean, all God's children are saints, okay? He would use the three-leaf clover to teach about God and how God is three. Do you know he was in Ireland? God actually would give him visions and things. Now, I know he's Catholic. I do believe he's of God, though. He was of God. He converted a lot of people in Ireland. And it said he feared God a lot. It says he often used shamrocks to explain the Holy Trinity, and entire kingdoms were eventually converted to Christianity after hearing Patrick's message. Now, I know the word Trinity is not in the Bible. People talk about the Trinity. I believe in the Godhead. That's what the Bible teaches. There are three that bear record in heaven, and these three are one God. One God, three persons. That's what the Bible teaches. It's a symbol of God. Isn't that sweet? And Patrick, you know, he converted a lot of people in Ireland. God gave him a dream. It said that he was the voice of the Irish. And he said, the love of God and his fear grew in me more and more, as did the faith, and my soul was roused, so that in a single day I have said as many as 100 prayers, and in the night nearly the same. I mean, God used him to bring people to himself. Not saying I believe in Catholicism, but God was showing me that. The clover, the three-leaf clover, it's a representation of God. And if you're God's child, you're the four-leaf clover. So rare to find. He's like his lucky four-leaf clover. Do you know what else God was showing me? The holly berry. This is what the holly berry looks like. Looks like that. You'll see it's like three. You see 3 leaves? Now, the plant itself doesn't just have 3 leaves on it, but in representation, you'll see it with 3 leaves. Actually, this necklace, it had a lot of other ones. This is for the month of May. The one for December had the holly berry. That's my birthday. It's in December. I actually bought pants online. I don't even think I knew this. I don't remember completely, but I don't think I knew this. I just bought the pants because they were there. They had holly berries all over them. They have holly berries all over him. This little case is what it came in. Holly berries. Do you know what that means? Christians consider the holly symbolic of Jesus Christ. The red berries represents the blood that Jesus shed on the cross on the day he was crucified. Legend states that holly berries were originally white and that the blood Christ shed for the sins of humankind stained the berries forever red. Also, the holly's pointed leaves symbolize the crown of thorns placed on Jesus' head before he died on the cross. Holly is known as Christdorn in German, meaning Christ thorn. God hides these things in creation that represent him to show everyone he's real. I literally bought pants. It's like I cover you in holly berries. What does that mean? I cover you in my righteousness. My blood is on you. No, if you're God's child and people treat you like dirt and persecute you, they're touching the apple of God's eye. And you're so blessed. You're like full of blessings, like a 4-leaf clover. So rare to find. Persecution will arise. People will say you're not of God. People will say you're of the devil and all these things. But if you do God's will, you're God's child. He loves you. He's so pleased with you. You're of more value than many sparrows. All right, love you guys. Bye.